you may have that one auntie who's just a go-getter and she's so flashy and smart. And there's that one auntie. I think every family has that one auntie who's just she's just out there marching to the beat of her own drum. But that's not what we do. That's that's her. She's like that. She's always been like that. But all of us can are not really living to our full A potential and who we truly are. We're living to who we think we're supposed to be.
Today, I'm talking to Lee Forrester, a reinvention strategist for women 40 and older. She helps empty nesters and career changers find their voice, own their direction, and make bold choices to design the life they're actually meant to live. In this conversation, we're exploring what happens when the identity you built your life around no longer fits and what it actually takes to step into the next version of yourself. Can you take me back to a moment in your own journey when you realized that the life you built no longer fit the woman you had become?
Yeah, it's been a couple of times. I think one of the earliest times was in my nursing career when I would stand. I remember being in a patient's room and thinking, where am I supposed to be and what am I supposed to be doing? Because I'm kind of done here. I'm I need to go, but I couldn't figure out what it was. But it wasn't me anymore.
So how
Yeah.
did you figure out like why you were having that friction?
I don't know if I think I just outgrown that. I was I guess growing as a person and realizing I've always been a person that wanted more. Not from a place of ingratitude or not liking what I had, because my life looked very pretty on the outside. It was quite pretty. Um, but I think I like to wear multiple hats, and I just didn't see myself just being one thing. And I had this vision that having daughters, they needed to see me with, they need to see the multi-factored me, not just mother. I had a persona, I had other things. I mean, I do have some, neurodivergency, so that's all wrapped up in that you just can't just do one thing. I just needed to do more, something that felt even more empowering, more impactful, and I saw myself more as I wanted to be more in charge of me, as opposed to being in a job where I was following rules and regulations and systems. I needed something, I needed something else.
Now, with the women that when women come to you, what is it that they usually seek? What do they think the problem is? And what do you start to see?
Yeah. Many have, they've had a career and had a family. Maybe the children have gone off, they're getting to the end of high school or going off to college. And their life and their world has been so wrapped up in that that they have lost who they are. Like they don't exactly know who they are anymore. And it happened a long time ago because even prior to that, you're asking women, tell me about yourself or who are you? And they're somebody's mother and somebody's wife and they work at company X. But it's not about who they are. Somehow they got lost in the shuffle. And so their roles are changing and it's the now what? I've literally asked people, so, what are you up to now? Or what do you see yourself doing next? Or what's next for you? And have said, that's a really good question. I don't know.
Wow. So what does their life usually look like once they kind of come into that realization like, the life they built is no longer for them or they're not identifying with that anymore?
There's a little, you can, if life is very, very comfortable, sometimes it's easy just to keep doing the things, the roles, the keeping of the home and, planning the vacations and I call everybody's husband Bob. What's the Bob's dinner? Everybody's Bob. And they've become used to that and it's comfortable to some extent, but there are some who are like, well, if you're in good health and let's say she's in her 50s maybe, and let's say she could live to her 80s and beyond. That's a lot of decades without any kind of vision or view or desire. That's a lot of years. And what does that look like other than the everydayness of life, which is lovely. And so it's helping her to see what's possible. She doesn't have to be a world leader. She doesn't have to write a book necessarily, but what do you want it to look like? And most women, I find, don't ask themselves that at all because we weren't really encouraged to do that growing up as little girls. It's all about a lot of servitude, and which is all very good, but it was considered selfish to think of yourself in that era of woman about what she wants, as opposed to say other generations, people in their 20s think differently of themselves.
I'm glad you said that. One thing I keep seeing in the conversations I've been having lately is that a lot of what was installed by us was installed by family, culture, or our upbringing, and we were most of the times told what a good woman was supposed to be, was supposed to do, and where she fits in the world. Now, how much of that do you think is keeping women stuck, or like keeping them in this zone of I don't know what to do, I don't know what I want?
Right. Because a lot of our embeddedness happened from 0 to 7. And then we tend to be like the people around us. We hang out with people that oftentimes are like us, or maybe in our neighborhoods or in our school and what have you. And you may have that one auntie who's just a go-getter and she's so flashy and smart. And there's that one auntie. I think every family has that one auntie she's just out there marching to the beat of her own drum. But that's not what we do. That's her. She's like that. She's always been like that. But all of us are not really living to our full potential and who we truly are. We're living to who we think we're supposed to be. I know from personal experience that I lived according to what I thought family, especially what it looked like culturally, societally, and for females. And we're performing all the time. There's a lot of performing going on. I saw this great thing on Facebook, Instagram, somewhere yesterday. It showed the lady, the dresses in your closet, the really sparkly, the ball gown, the tutu, and she was wearing it for everyday life. But we're waiting for this day that's coming that we can wear this lovely dress. And the lady was wearing a sequin dress to the supermarket. Most of us would never dare do that, but otherwise it just sits there not getting worn. And it's the same with us. We're not living out fully. We're just kind of contained and behaving.
Yes. And I think it's ironic when we have that auntie in the family that's living how she wants and she's, fully aligned with what she wants and she's clear about that. Most of the family usually sees them as that's the black sheep. I think that's so weird. Right?
She's a rebel. She's not towing the line. She's not like us. She's always been a bit different since she was a child. And I think to some extent we all want to have some of that for ourselves. We don't dare, or we don't know how to, because grew up with a lot of judgment. So what will people think? And we're so afraid about what people think, then we live most of our lives based on what we perceive other people will think. And that's a lot of control we give to other people.
Yes, and it's a lot of pressure on ourselves as well. Now, when women, their identity is stripped, right? Their kids are out of the house, maybe they're tired of their job. Like, so what do they try to fix? What is the first thing they try to like, okay, this is what I need to do, I guess, to fill that gap?
Yeah, they might be trying to be more active. They might go working out. They might try yoga, Pilates. And now I've got the time for myself. So maybe they're going to do a little bit of self-care in that way. Or maybe there's projects at the house, but still not oftentimes about just them. Plan maybe more vacations with Bob, or they're still having trouble letting go of those kids. So they're trying to find ways to have them come home more, or be with them more, or go there where they are and spend time with them. They haven't quite fully taken on that. Those are young people that are going off into the world to do their life. And so it can be a struggle. She feels not very hopeful. So it's a little ho hum in the same old, this and that. And then she talks to other women who are in that season of life and maybe their bodies are changing. And so it just becomes like like a bit of a growing pity party with other people who don't really have things on the up and up going on. Life is good. It's pretty, lovely, pristine homes, manicured lawns, pretty car, vacations where they're like, but something is still off and missing. There's no thrill.
Right. And do you see them still operating in the sense of what other people expect of them versus like, okay, now I have the space to do something different?
They know they have the space, but I don't think they have the tools or the strategy to make that change. And maybe one of their friends has gone off and quit her job and moved to this other, developing country and is living her best life. But they don't see that as something that they can do. Like, how do you even do that? But yeah, Susie Q, can you imagine? She went here, her kids left for college and she's living in Bali and she's having a great time. And but that's them. It's not, they don't see that in themselves. And I get that. I've written a book. But when I had friends years ago that wrote a book, I could see myself doing that. I'm like, that is so amazing. You wrote a book. How do you even do that? That's incredible. But I didn't even think about it for myself. Like, didn't occur to me.
Now, you talk about reinvention, not about starting over, but realigning. What's the difference between those two?
Yeah, because you're not starting all over again. You've had a life. The ladies I work with, oftentimes corporate ladies, raise families. They've got a ton of experience, are highly educated, very experienced. They've run teams and all of that. You've lived a life. You have a lot of experience. You're not just getting out of college and, got a lot of theory, but no life experience. And it can feel like you're starting again when you're starting something completely new, but you bring all your life's experiences with you to that new starting place of that other new venture. If it's in the entrepreneurial space, say, or just this thing you've always wanted to do and didn't dare or didn't have the time, you bring all that wealth of information and you don't know sometimes how you'll use it, but it does show up. So you come with that on your back like a backpack and you come equipped. You're not I know what it feels like to think you're starting again, but I realized I wasn't starting at ground zero. I was starting at another position and then going up from there with that.
Right. What happens to the women internally when they try to step into a new version or something completely different?
I call it the monkeys in the head get a chattering. That's what I call them. Because well, you can't do that. You've never done that before. How are you going to do it? Do you have the money? Can you make any money from doing this? And what people are going to think? Nobody in your family's ever done that. And they just chatter, chatter, chatter. So there's this gusto. I'm going to do this. And then it's two steps forward and one step backwards. Because you're still kind of recreating that new self. You're still making some neural pathways in your brain where you're doing new behaviors and new thoughts, new activities, new life. Um, Even if she's not trying to reinvent, I have been working with somebody right now and she wants to do more things. She's happily married, has a lovely home, her kids are grown. She wants to do more things independently, but it seems scary because she's done everything with her husband. They do all the things together, but he's recently spending a lot more time golfing. And she says, and there I am, just at home alone. She has the means, she has the time, and not quite sure about getting in her car and driving herself to some place to do whatever activity by herself. But she wants to. It's like building up that momentum because it does take, you have to do a lot of self-talk sometimes. I like to say, get your fist behind you and put it behind your back and kind of like you got to push yourself and tell the monkeys to be quiet. I'm going. Here we are in the car. We're in reverse. We're doing this. We're doing this. And it gets better over time, but you got to do it the first time and the second time, like with anything.
Do you think they're afraid that it might cost them their relationships or their existing relationships are going to change dramatically?
Mm. That's a good point. And there might be some element of fear. What if I become more independent minded? How does that affect our relationship? Because right now, relationships, men and women that I know that, they're like, they're besties, they're friends, they're husband and wife, but they're also friends. They talk about everything, they do everything together, and everything is a little bit about when he wants to have dinner or when we want to go here, or it's a play off each other. Now you're asserting yourself, and I'll be gone for the afternoon. I'll see you later. There's stuff in the fridge for your dinner. You good with that? And that's a whole different persona that you're kind of taking on. And what are you telling yourself that that means? Because we all tell ourselves things mean something, or maybe they don't. He'll be maybe happy that you found an activity to do with a girlfriend or by yourself. Because I've heard a man say, "We love you, but we don't need to be with you all the time."
Yes. So it sounds like it's kind of like codependency. Like they can't almost function without, well, like you said, a lot of times I see more on the woman's side. She can't almost function without the husband's input or her partner's input before it's almost like they are asking for permission in a way.
Exactly. Asking for permission. And that's an interesting dynamic that kind of culturally has come, and because of the season of her life. And it's interesting because sometimes you're like, I was having this conversation kind of with myself this morning. Like sometimes you're the lover and sometimes you're the child, like in a relationship. Like, which is it? We kind of flip and flop around a little bit. We might make a financial decision or do this thing. I have to ask Bob, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to chat with Bob about it. See what we're going to, well, but if I'm asking, that almost sounds like you need permission.
Right. Does it come a point where they actually recognize that they're not acting like on their own and that they're codependent?
I don't know if they see it, and to some extent, Desi, they might almost like it, in that it's comfort and safety and security, and that's what women look for in a relationship. We come and we want to feel safe, we want to feel secure, we want to be looked out for. He's covering this, he manages that, and there, in some ways, we just don't really have to worry about some things because it's handled. And which is a lovely place to be in, where you don't have to think about stuff. I can't fault that.
So do you think that has to do with like the dynamic they saw growing up or perhaps the environment they grew up in?
I think all of that, maybe what they saw with their families or what they didn't get, and now they want it because they didn't have that security. Maybe dad wasn't home. Maybe it wasn't a wonderful relationship. And so what are you looking for? What are you seeking? And and I want to encourage women to, yes, if you've got that tight and wonderful relationship, that's a beautiful thing. But don't lose yourself in the process, because um, I think a man that's comfortable with himself, say, is happy for you to have your own thing too. He doesn't necessarily want to be the everything all the time, depending on the type of dynamics you have in a relationship, of course. But it's kind of, I think it's kind of cool to to know who you are and bring yourself to the relationship. Have your own thoughts about things. And um, a little bit of independence, I think, once you taste it, can feel quite good.
I think it's so important for women to keep their individuality, when they're in a relationship and always have something, that's more their identity versus, okay, I have to do this because everybody else expects me to do that. Now, once a woman recognizes there's something wrong, something's out of alignment, what does it take for her to break that pattern?
Mm, yeah, it's to have, I think, a quest to find what that is. Who am I? What am I? I've been this and this and these titles. Well, what do I really want? What do I enjoy? It takes time to figure out what you like without putting the roadblocks in the way. What does your ideal day look like? Where are you? Where do you wake up? What time? What do you do first thing in the morning? Do you have coffee? Do you go out for coffee? Is coffee brought to you in bed? What does it look like in its ideal state? And making that search for it. Explore in your mind first, that's where everything happens, what that could look like. And do little teaser things. Maybe I'll go close to home and maybe I'll go sit at a coffee shop by myself. Or maybe I'll pick up the coffee and sit in the park or sit in my car alone with no agenda and see what that feels like, testing the waters. I'm safe. It's okay. Everybody's going about their life. Nobody's looking at me. I'm okay. You got to put your toes out in the water a little bit. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go off on a sabbatical to some faraway country. Just try something a little bit different than you've done before and see how it feels.
When they start becoming somebody new or working on other things, do the people around them support them or do they want them how they have always been?
That's a great question because that depends on the people. Some people like you the way you've always been. And if you decide to step out a little bit, it's scary for them. It's like, who do you think you are and where you're going? What are you doing? Because you've been this for us this whole time. And now you're expanding over there. So you will find out who your friends are.
Right.
Because some will be supportive and you go, that's so brave, that's amazing. And others would be like, well, why are you doing that? And we're doing this, we've never done that. And should you do that? Is that safe? Oh, I don't know. And so you will find out. I've heard stories from ladies, one lady in particular. I work with ladies with weight loss and body transformation as well. She'd lost a lot of weight, and a good friend for many, many years, who she saw all the time while her body was transforming, she lost significant amount of weight, changed her life, became more active, all of these things. She said her friend, it was like her best friend, never said one thing about the change in her body, not anything, nothing at all. She's like, I just don't understand. Because yeah, she's known you with this other person who had this body type, and even if the friend is herself slender, say, you're not the way she knew you as, and now she's dealing with her own, really what is all that's going on, her own insecurity. It's not even projected at you, but it comes off that way. People who've changed their life, they've got a new job, making more money. Sometimes friends kind of back away because it makes them uncomfortable. So you will find out. It's a lot of discovery going on at that time.
So when they're trying these new identities or trying to be different, does it change how they show up to the world and how they show up to people?
Initially, yeah, it's gonna until people get used to that new evolving person, like kind of like a butterfly. First it's whatever thing, and it evolves and comes out and flies and goes off and is beautiful. But there is that stage. I call it like wearing an itchy sweater. Like it's not fitting anymore, and people see you kind of starting to emerge, and it can make them uncomfortable. People will adjust if they were sincere and good for you in the first place. They will adapt or they won't. And they will fall off with your altitude, essentially. And that's just the cost of your elevation or movement can be uncomfortable, but you will also adjust. You will find, well, what was this relationship anyway? Why was I hanging on so tight? Not that you don't value friendships, but you will adapt, like changing your diet. Sometimes it's, you don't want to eat this, or you're upset you had to give up that. Over time, you will adapt. And then you'll look back and like, I don't know if I even like that anymore anyway. And you're not even missing it.
Amazing. That's unfortunate that some relationships will fall through. Now, when they're changing, is there ever a time when they're making progress and they're doing different things and they retract back into like who they've always been?
Yes. Because they've not fully embraced a new identity yet. They're still struggling with identity. It's really all identity based. And it's all about how you see yourself. And people will treat you according to how you see you. When you walk into a room and your energy and your presence and the way you show, people respond to are responding to that. They will treat you as you see you. And sometimes you go back. That's why people say diets don't work. They do work, but you didn't stay in the identity of the person who has this new body. You went back to the old way because you have not fully embraced that new person. You're afraid to take her on. So you go back to the one that you're more comfortable with.
Now, what changes once one of your clients actually makes the shift? Not just how they feel, but how they show up and how does their life change?
I'd love to see a woman transformed. You can see it when she walks in a room. It's really exciting. I worked with a lady, and again, it was more on the wellness side, but she came in kind of broken, a little cowering, apologetic, not happy with her body, not happy with herself. She was working full time and taking care of her husband who needed help. And as time went on, she started to come out. Her body language changed, her posture changed, her head was high. It's, she walked differently. It's so exciting. It's like you're like this proud mother. And you look at your child. It almost brought tears to my eyes to see her blossoming. Everything changes. The way she sees herself, the way she carries herself. Now the hair is changing, and maybe she's doing more care with the face. Maybe she was wearing makeup and maybe she didn't before. Her posture's changed. It's like, who is that? It from a coach's perspective, it's really exciting.
That's amazing. Now, how can you tell the difference between someone that's ready to make the changes versus someone that's like
Mm.
not ready but wants to change?
Right. Ready is curious and asking question and talking about what's possible. Not ready, she's got a stake in the ground and she'll give you many, many reasons why she cannot do X, Y, and Z, why she cannot move forward, and all the obstacles that are keeping her where she is. So she's created a life and a story and an identity around what she doesn't want. And me or anybody else trying to help her move forward or into something else, A, is scary. But if you take that thing from her that is not a desirable thing, she'll snatch it right back off you. No, no, no. That's mine. I gotta have it. It's mine. Because that's what she knows. And it's not like she doesn't want something else, but she's not identifying with that fully. So she'll defend. That's why people say things like, but that's how I am. You don't know me. That's how I am. That's how I've always been. She's hanging on to that thing.
If a woman woke up tomorrow and her external life completely matched everything she actually wanted, but her identity has not changed, what would happen?
She'll sabotage it.
What would that look like?
She might keep it for a little bit, but it'll be uncomfortable because she hasn't identified with that. And she may not feel worthy of that. She doesn't see herself there. And so while it's lovely, and it might be lovely for other people, it might be lovely for her neighbors and her friends, but she doesn't see herself that, and she will go do everything to undo it. They say if you won the lottery or came into $1 million or what have you overnight, you better become a millionaire very quickly because you will lose all that money because you don't see yourself with it.
I've heard that they'll end up being right back where they were because they haven't shifted their identity. They're still the same person.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, final question. What would you say to the woman who has been quietly asking, is this it for me? Like, is this
Mhm.
all there is? But hasn't given herself permission to
Mhm.
answer honestly yet.
Yeah. Keep asking. Keep asking. Keep looking. Keep scratching the surface. Keep listening and look. So your mind is like a goal seeking missile. If you are asking questions, if you seek, you will find, as opposed to saying, I won't, I never, I can't. If she's looking, she will find. The universe will bring things into your sphere that, and you will find what you are aligned to in terms of philosophy or who you like to work with to help you get more information. If you're truly looking, you will find. Keep exploring. Look on, I would search through Pinterest and look for whatever it is and make little pin boards of things that I liked, whether I was redoing my living room or bathroom or not. Oh, that's a nice color. I like that color scheme. in that way. Look for things. I'm very visual, so things like Pinterest or other places help me kind of visualize what that would look like. A vacation, a place. Use your mind to explore. It's your mind. It is free. You can use it without judgment. Allow yourself to explore in your mind what it might look like. It doesn't have to be outlandish. Just what could it be if I worked somewhere else? What would it be if I didn't have a job at all and I was doing something else? And just sit with it. Don't be afraid. It's just a thought, like all the other random thoughts that run into your head, mostly crazy ones. So it's just a thought that you are in charge of. And just, it's not wrong. It's just right. It's not right. It's just let it come through like a cloud passing by. Just let it come through and sit with it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here once again. Now, where can people find you and connect with your work?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn by my name, Lee Forrester, with two R's. I'm on Facebook by my name, also Coaching by Lee. So those are two good places to find me. I'm also on Substack too. I have some articles there as well on the reinvented and resetting of the woman who's looking for something else.
Awesome. I'll make sure to link those below. Now, you mentioned you wrote a book. What's the name of your book?
Called Speak, a guide to unleashing every woman's voice. Because despite all the words I shared with you today, I was once pretty much self-muted and didn't use my voice at all until I realized I was supposed to.
That's awesome. I'll make sure to look into it.
If this episode sparked something inside of you right now, I do one-on-one clarity calls. 45 minutes, we figure out what's actually capping you, and you walk away knowing what to do next. Links in the show notes. Talk soon.